Thank you so much for everyone who joined the call. Today, we will be going around one of the most interesting concepts in ToolJet, that is GitSync. I will give you an overview of GitSync and how you can start using it in your projects. So let's get started. So today's agenda will be, I will be giving you a basic introduction to GitSync feature. Then we will see how we can configure the GitSync feature. Then after that, I will show you how you can push your application using GitSync. And again, then we can see how we can import new application. Then after that, we will see how we can pull new changes. Then I will talk about some future scopes, use case, and then we'll have our usual Q&A session where you can ask me questions regarding anything related to GitSync, and I will be ready to answer. So we will get started. Okay, so the configuration part of GitSync, I will show you how we can do it because it will be easier to show you rather than explaining all these elements. So to just do that, we can go directly to our dashboard of ToolJet and just click on settings. And in settings, you will be able to see workspace settings. And in workspace settings, if you know, check it out. There's a new setting called configure Git. So in configure Git, this is a paid, this feature is only available in the paid plan. So since I already have the paid plan, you can configure Git over here. So for example, it will ask you to post a Git SSH URL. And to get that, you need to create a new repository in GitHub. So let me just go ahead and create a repository. So let me create one called DJ application example. So I'm going to create a repository over here. So once you create the repository, as usual, you will have a .git URL, and then you will have a HTTPS key. So we want to work with the SSH key since that is what ToolJet is officially reading at the moment. So just copy this SSH URL from here and paste it over here. Now, once you paste it over here, you can get your own SSH key, which you have to link it with GitHub. For example, one of the latest features that we added was that I think earlier we were only supporting RSA. Now we are supporting ED25519, which is like much more better. So you can just copy it and go to your GitHub repository, click on settings. And once you click on settings, you can deploy a key. For example, go to deploy key, and I'm going to deploy a key right now. So let me just call it TJ app key, and let me TJ app key to push. And let me paste the key over here and make sure to enable write access because we'll be writing into our GitHub repository, right? So let me write down and add the key. Just type in your password. Yeah, now that is done. So once that is added over here, just make sure to click on the finalize setup. So, and you will have a successful message over here. If there's any issue, then it won't be showing any success message. So just make sure to double check it, even though it's straightforward to it. Now go to application. Let's create a new app. For example, let me create one called my app and enable this button. Check this button called commit changes and create the application. Sorry, let me create my app example. And let's create the application. And as you can see, the application is created. Now, if you just go to your GitHub, you can see that right now it's committed that the application is created. For example, the commit number 1 is my app example has been created over here. So it's getting committed. So that's how you configure GitSync. Now, the next major part of the thing would be to push the application. So for example, if I want to push some changes into it, so let me add a button onto it. So the button has been added. Now let me click on the GitSync option over here, the navbar on the top. So click on the GitSync option, and I want to commit a change into our GitHub repository. So in the commit message, I'm gonna add button. The commit messages, I'm gonna add a message called add button or added a button to make things very clear. And I'm gonna commit the change. and it will give a success message saying that the changes has been committed successfully. So let's try see over here whether it is reflected. Yeah, as you can see, it is being reflected over here that version 1 of my app example added a button, right? So that is the change that we pushed into our GitHub repository. And to make things clear, let me just add one more component and push it. Let me add a text component. And now let me try to push that change. So added a text component. Yeah, I'm going to comment the change again. And as you can see, the success message has been sent to us. So let's see if whether it's reflected over here. Yeah, so that is also reflected. So it's going to show that version 1 v1 of my app example added a text component. So everything that you add onto it, you can just sync it with GitHub and push the commit onto GitHub. Now, one more thing, the reason like why this one is beneficial is that you can log whoever is doing whatever in your application. For example, if the company is working on an application, multiple people are working on it and doing changes, then as you can see over here, you can see whoever committed the change into the GitHub repository. For example, since I'm the only one who's committing changes, you can see that Alan Joseph committed now changes into the GitHub repository. Now, next part of this would be, yeah. So the next part would be to pull the changes onto some other repository. So now the main reason we added the GitSync, the GitSync feature over here is because we wanted to make a simple way for everybody to, track your application and create a backup for it. For example, if for some case this your application won't be working at a certain length, then you can instantly, create a backup and start it running again. And from there, you can duplicate the application by connecting data source. For example, let's go into another workspace. So I'm going to go into another workspace over here. And in this workspace also, you'll have to configure your GitSync options. For example, let me go to workspace settings in workspace 2 and let me configure the Git. So again, you'll have to provide the SSH URL that you can provide it from over here. Yeah, copy the SSH URL, paste it over here, generate the SSH key, and let me copy this SSH key from here and let me go to settings. Let me deploy key, and in deploy key, let me add one more. This time I'm going to call it pull, and I'm going to paste the key over here. Again, don't forget the important step to allow write access. Add the key over here. Yep. And then try to finalize the setup. It should be added. Yes, we get a success message saying that GitSync has been synced and set up. Now we are ready to use it. Now let's go into our dashboard. In the dashboard, I want to duplicate this application that we created over here. So let me try to duplicate it by, instead of directly click the create new app button, just click on the right side of it. And in the drop down, click on import from Git repository. And your Git repository should be automatically loaded over here. For example, this is the application that was created in. So let's try to load it over here. And it will tell you that it will be loading it from last commit, that is added a text component, which was the last commit we pushed into our GitHub repository. So let's try to pull the git changes from your Git application from GitHub over here. Yes, as you can see over here, everything that we pushed into our GitHub is being reflected over here. Now, one thing to note over here is that you will not be able to edit it over here. This is completely just a backup case over here in case your application goes down and you need a simple way to back it up without wasting any time. You won't be able to edit over here. Now, one more thing I can show is that in the push part, let me go to my original workspace. So I'm going to go to my workspace and I'm going to open my app example. And let me create a new version. I'm going to name it V2. So there's an option whether you want to commit changes when you are creating a V2 of the application. So I'm going to not check it. So I'm going to leave it unchecked for now. And I'm going to create a new version. Okay. So in the new version, let's add one more component. For example, let's add a table component. Yep. Now let's try to commit the changes. For example, let me say added a table component, right? I'm going to commit the change right now, and it will show a warning that every time you commit something in a newer version, the V2 has to be replaced instead of the V1. So we are going to replace the V1 with the our V2 version, and the changes will be committed like that. So once you click on continue, if you go to your get commit history, you can see that now we are working on the V2 version of things. So version V2 of my app example added a table component. So everything regarding everything regarding the version will also be recorded into this. If you don't want it to be recorded, that is also you have the option to not have it recorded. Now let me just show the pull part of things GitSync once more. So let me go to my team workspace, which is the second workspace, and let's open the application that we synced it with. For example, this is the application that we synced. And let me try to. So right now it's not updated to the latest commit, no? So the latest commit updates, you can do it manually because we don't want you to break the application. So let me try to pull the changes again. So as you can see, there's an option now to check for updates. So let me check for update, and it will show the latest update that is available. That is added a table component, and now it's V2. And regarding when it was committed, etc., everything is changed, added over here. So let me pull the change. So when you're pulling the change, it will again, give you a warning that Git repository will create a new version 2 instead of version 1, and continue working on it. So let me continue. So everything has been pulled. Yeah. So now the version 2 of the application has also been pulled. You can always go back to the version 1 of the application at the same time. So this is the use case of version 1, versioning your commit changes so that you can have it, have a stable version and a, normal version depending upon it. So that is regarding the GetSync part of things. Any more questions, guys?
Yeah, can you go back to the FAQ slide?
FAQ, sure.
Right. So if I commit something that is in development and then I promote it, and then is there an option to commit something else? I wouldn't be able to because all changes are done only on the development environment, right?
Uh, so you're doing changes in the development and I don't
If,
understand it.
if I promote the development to staging and then production, etc.,
Right.
does that make any difference on your GitSync commits? Does that get tracked? Like something has been promoted, etc., on the uh, GitHub itself, or is that completely contained within ToolJet itself?
Krityagya, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, so I think we only push when we promoting from development to staging, Andrew.
Mhm.
We are not pushing when we are promoting from other environment, like from staging to production. We are not
Okay. Okay.
pushing it. So like it makes sense, right? Because we can only edit in the
Yep.
development, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So what is the idea behind the non-editable JIT pulls then? Like what is the use case? If I wanted to push something here and I wanted to pull it elsewhere in another instance environment, etc.,
Mhm.
the idea is I want to continue work there, right? If I can't edit it, then what was the logic behind it?
Right. So I think the logic is as per the customer use case, Andrew. So what happened that most of the time people have different instances for development and production. So for the seamless migration and deployment and the QA testing as well, most of the people want that the production environment should not be editable, right? So that's why we always have that whatever we are pulling should not be editable, because we want it to be a synced image of what we have in the development instance, right? So that's why
Yeah.
we do not support editable apps when we are pulling from the Git.
Okay, my question is, I can rephrase it.
Okay,
Is it intentional where you will not support edit option at all, or is that not available now, but in a future development cycle you might add it? Because if I'm looking at this particular slide where you're mentioning the use cases and there's an application data backup, so
mm-hmm.
the idea of a backup is I should be able to restore and continue work at some point in the future, right?
Correct,
So if I've backed it up in my GitSync and I lose stuff and then I want to restore it, but I can't edit it, then
right,
I'm not able to pick up where I left.
agreed.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
is it, yeah.
So actually, we have a option to duplicate the app. So whatever you have pulled, it can be duplicated, right? So the duplicated app can be pushed again, right?
Ah, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
right.
got it.
I
Yeah,
think that solves your use case, right?
yeah, sure.
Right.
Um, and do you guys, you mentioned you support different vendors like GitLab, etc. Do you support Bitbucket? I mean, do
Yes.
you have a list of vendors that you support?
Uh,
And
I think we support most of the vendor, and even we support the legacy provider as well. So as of now, whatever we support Azure DevOps, GitLab, GitHub, Bitbucket, and Code Commit. So I think most
Okay,
of the
cool.
things are provided there, and I think you can find these things in our documentation.
Okay,
If
cool.
to them, right?
Okay, I just couple more questions. The if I have multiple apps in my workspace and I commit in each of those apps, do they get separately, grouped together as different folders in the Git repo?
I think yeah, they will be a separate folder in a single repo.
Okay,
So the Git
okay,
repo is at a workspace level.
yeah, okay, cool.
Right.
Was just confirming that. And you mentioned something about task tracking. What is that?
Alan, can you show that? If
yeah, sure. I think it is over here,
Yeah,
improving task tracking.
yeah. Can you give me an example of what task tracking itself is?
so,
Did you mean
yeah,
just in terms of like normal workflow? Oh, this developer is working on this task. Is that what is meant, or is that like some
yeah,
feature that you're building?
right. So I think the what happens in the agile production environment, project management environment, we assign a task, right? And
Yeah.
what for tracking those tasks, like if the developer has done this, he commit those tasks using the
Okay.
Git,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Okay.
And
Okay.
then we
Yeah.
can
Got it.
track it using the Git hit history, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And in the
Okay.
future scope, also we have that we want to add everything in the tooljet itself, maybe, right?
Mhm.
So even that the commit ID can be seen from the tooljet itself, not from the
Ah,
right. So
yeah.
yeah,
Okay. And do you have timelines on all these future scope actions that you've listed?
these. So we recently launched GitSync, and we are seeing that what is the adoption and how people are using. We are getting the improvement feedbacks,
Okay.
and right, and then based on those things, we are deciding that what need to be picked up first, what need to be prioritized. Right.
Okay. Sure. Makes sense. Thanks a
Right.
lot. Yeah. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Andrew. Any more questions? Okay, I think we can wrap it up. For any more questions regarding the documentation, you can go to docs.tooljet.com and just type for GetSync, and you can see everything regarding GetSync over here, whatever we are supporting, how you can deploy it yourself, etc. And you can even learn more regarding the .meta folder that is over here in our GitHub repository, etc. So everything from 0 to 1 regarding GetSync is given in our documentation, and it's well documented, like I said. So if there is no question, we will wrap it up.
Okay. Thank you. Have a
Okay.
good day. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in, and have a good day.